Hello, this is part two. This is where I left off. Yvette Basica here. So where I left off, I was talking about my mom bringing me food to my apartment when I was living in San Pedro, and it was getting tampered with when I would get my food. And so, I tried figuring out what I could do. I tried calling places and people. I called 600 people, probably more than that, in a short period of time over the last 5 years. But during that time, I called a bunch of people, and I had made an appointment to go have a therapist come to my house. And as soon as I made the appointment, the LAPD showed up and said that I had to play with their rules now, and they were taking me away. So I ended up going to Harbor UCLA for a few days, where they tortured me. They tried to find out what I was allergic to so that they can put allergies onto me, or tried to inject me or put it in my food supply so that I would get really ill. And then, I didn't even have like a room to stay in. I was staying on a cot that was really dirty with no sheets and no pillow or anything. With some pretty, very interesting people, to say the least, that were in the room with me. So there was a lot of women that were in the room with me. I got transferred to Delamo Behavioral Health Center in Torrance, California. And I was further tortured for about like over 50 days. Gassed, drugged, poisoned, electronically beamed while I was trying to talk on the phone. They blocked me from getting a hold of a lawyer. They pretended that that I was talking to a guy friend of mine who was a lawyer out of state, and they pretended that they were me on the phone so that they would talk to him in replace of me, even though it wasn't me that they were talking to. And I had to confirm that with him when I called him after I got out of the hospital. It was pretty crazy. I got injected for no reason. And they pulled down my pants, and they held me down, and I wasn't screaming or violent or anything. I was literally just sitting there. So that was illegal and pretty abusive. So I got out of there. I also showed them that I had drugs in my system with a drug sample from an urgent care, and the judge that came to the hospital at the time didn't even care, barely even looked at it, and still said I had to take their medicine against my will, even though I had proof. And then my brother came down for the judge hearing. They wouldn't allow him to speak. They said he wasn't allowed to talk, which, what's the point of him even being there if he can't speak? That doesn't make any fucking sense. So that was illegal. Then I left and got out, moved back in with my parents, and kept calling people to try to help me. And these two police officers that were part of LAPD came to my house again while I was sleeping. Wasn't doing anything. I was literally sleeping. My parents unlocked my door, even though, it was locked and I have privacy, but they didn't fucking care. And they came in, they took me away, and I told them I don't want to go anywhere. They took me to UCLA, and I told them this is like they're gonna torture me. You don't understand who these people are. Mom didn't listen to me. Got tortured. Got poisoned right when I got there. They had no legal claim. I was not violent or suicidal. And they took me away anyway. and I got poisoned in my temperature reading they put underneath my tongue when I got there. I got poisoned in my blood draw that they took from me, that I asked them specifically, are you going to hurt me if I do this blood draw with you? And they said, no, we're not going to hurt you. So I trusted them, and they hurt me. So, lesson to be learned is when the devil says, trust me, you say no. Also, I got poisoned in all of my food and the medicine that they were giving me as well. And I got physically beaten up in the shower by a nurse, and I was bleeding, and tried to make a report. The hospital didn't care. Made a report with my parents, told them about it. They didn't really do anything. So they're pretty crazy. It was the UCLA Ronald Reagan Center in Westwood. It's the only psych hospital there is in Westwood for UCLA. And I live in San Pedro, so going all the way to Westwood doesn't really make much sense. So that's odd, because there's probably like 10 hospitals in between from my house to that place. Then stayed there for a long time. They put me on conservatorship. I had no legal right to be on conservatorship. I could clearly speak and, read my own contracts and, consciously was aware of what I was doing. So there was no reason. I had a home, and the only way you can do that is if you're gravely disabled, which you don't have food, clothing, or shelter, and I had all that. So they did that to me anyway. So I tried to fight for my conservatorship rights for about 5 years, and my lawyer refused to call me back. I didn't have enough money to get a private lawyer, and when I tried to get a private lawyer for pro bono or less money in between the time, my mom threatened that she would take all of my disability money away from me if I hired a private lawyer, which is really illegal. I got verbally abused at home every single day, controlled, monitored, everything that I did, if I left a fork out, or if I moved the dish the wrong way, or if I left a piece of clothes somewhere, or whatever I was doing, it was like living in an insane asylum. And my mom's an extremely messy person, and she was controlling about where I put things and everything like that. And then what I did during the day, and, I was getting, the drugs that they give me are pretty heavy, so it's not like I can go and run like a 10-mile marathon and be completely fine with it. So CVS started to tamper with my drugs. I was getting one specific drug at UCLA, and I continue to take the drug even now, and they tamper with it every month. So I get like a whole new slew of experimental drugs every month, and I know because of the side effects that I get and how I feel after I get it. They were probably giving me the same drug for maybe 6 months after the hospital. 3 to 6 months, I could kind of tell that it was the same type of drug, and then they started to switch it up on me. And then my food supply at the grocery stores, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, but so that gets poisoned and drugged with on a daily basis. So wherever my parents go shopping or wherever I go grocery shopping, it'll end up being tampered with at the grocery stores, and they'll do it to everything, and then they'll also do it extremely excessive on the things they know that I like. So there's probably like 5 to 10 different foods where they know that I always buy, and before any of my family members get there or I get there, it'll already be extra messed with. Then they also put poison and drugs on their hands. The store clerks put it on their hands, on the conveyor belts, on the shopping bags, on the money they give me. on the thing that you sign your name for the credit card slip. That's really all around there. That took me a while to figure out that they did that. So you're not really safe kind of buying anything. And if you want to test it, I don't go to the store right now, but you can probably find one of my parents, follow them around, and buy some of the food and see how you feel after you eat it, if you want to test it. Let's see, what else happened after that? So I ended up going to the psych ward a third time, because I wanted to wake up and take a shower, and my brother got crazy on me, and he called the cops on me, and they didn't listen to me, and they listened to my parents and my family, and they took me away the third time. This time I went to San Pedro Hospital, which was very abusive. In San Pedro, there's only one hospital here in California. And they gassed me, drugged me, poisoned me, tampered with my stuff in my room, of course. And they did that the whole time I was there. I wasn't allowed to eat in my room. They first told me I could have snacks, and they told me I couldn't. Then they said I could have juice, and they told me I couldn't. Then they said I could have a cup of water. Then they said I couldn't have more than one cup of water. It was like they changed the rules on me every single fucking day. Like all day long, they would change it up on me just to mess with me mentally. They denied me to have a lawyer. I had a lawyer come down that was a friend of mine, and they lied and said he couldn't come in and see me. It was really crazy why a hospital would do that to somebody. But they did. They're very dirty people. They strapped me down in the ER when I first got there because I said I had a right to a lawyer. I shouldn't be here. And so they poisoned me, strapped me down, didn't let me have food, water, or go to the bathroom for a long time. And I had cops that did that with the hospital staff that were standing there barricading the door so I wouldn't escape. It's not like I'm a criminal. I'm not violent. I have zero history of violence. So they have no right to inject me or strap me down. The nurse said, if you start talking to me, then I won't give you an injection. So I said, I don't want to talk to you. She said, well, I'm going to give you an injection. So I started talking to her, and then she gave me the injection anyway, after I complied with what she said. So these people are just fucking dirty. They played mind games with me the whole time I was there. They would say I could have a nurse one day. Then they said I couldn't have a nurse one day to help me. I only could eat food when my parents would bring me food at the visiting station because they wouldn't torture me as bad when I would eat. If I had to try to eat a piece of bread in the hallway, they would slam me really, really hard. So I would have to run back into my room and hide for cover. All the people that were there were not mentally ill, and if they were pretending. They were hired by the hospital to do their dirty work, including my roommates. So that was pretty shady. That's the same way as it is in the other hospitals too. They hire the gang stalkers to come in and pretend that they're mentally ill patients just to fuck with the target. There could be a mix of people that might be might be there already, but it wasn't the case in San Pedro. No. So then I left, and then I tried to put on Facebook the abuse that I endured at the San Pedro Hospital, and my mom and brother threatened to call the cops on me, which is fucking illegal if I did that. So I put up a vague post instead. I have every right to report abuse, rape, sex trafficking, gang stalking, torture. I have every right to report this to anybody. I do have the proof from the drugs they found in my system, And I do know that I have been sex trafficked for a very long time, from 18 years old until now, which I'm 38. I tried reporting this to rape centers already, and they wouldn't help me. Let's see. I don't remember the last video exactly what I said everything, because it was an overview. But if there's any questions or anybody needs to get a hold of me, you know, I've been here now. I started to get Army grade bombs in my house about like a month ago. It happened for about a couple weeks, and my parents denied doing that to me, and you know, they just continue to lie to me. But it shakes the whole room, shakes my bed, shakes my bedroom door. The whole house feels like an earthquake, because it's like an apartment. And then you have body pains after something like that happens. And the sound that you hear is like a firecracker that goes off, and it's really loud, and it's like an Army grade bomb. And sometimes stuff comes out of it, like a gas that can spray out of it. So it's pretty crazy what's been happening. And then this, you know, the drugging and the poisoning, obviously, that continues, as well as the stuff in my room. So my sheets, my clothing, anything that you touch in my room will have some kind of a residue on it. And then, of course, you know, the bathroom, the kitchen, other rooms in the house, the laundry room, stuff like that. The living room, the family room has some kind of a residue on this stuff as well. And then you can see how I look pretty beat up as well. And I used to be a fitness model and a personal trainer. So you can clearly see that I would not be able to do fitness modeling now after all the abuse that I have endured. So if anybody has anything they want to tell me or any resources to give me, that would be, you know, very appreciated. So protect female, PROTECTFEMALE.com/home, and there will be a contact link. The best way to get a hold of me is through a video chat. If you can get a hold of me through the email. I do live in San Pedro, so that's a way of getting hold of me there. But, you know, chances are somebody who's writing you back and forth on the email could be one of my stalkers, so it's not that secure of getting a hold of me. But you can always make a comment on the YouTube below. That's a way. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. So you can find me somehow through all of those platforms. Okay, well, I'll try to think of other ways if I forgot something in my last video. Okay, bye-bye.